Hello, I'm Pastor Joe, and I want to welcome you to Impacts. Impacts is a video teaching series where I try to help nurture your faith in, your commitment to, and your relationship with Jesus Christ. You know, I've heard it said that a flame is to fire as mission is to the church. Now, what does that mean? You know, you cannot separate the flame from a fire. It is an essential part of a fire. Likewise, you cannot separate missions from the church. You can't separate missions from the life of a Christian. It is part and parcel to who we are. It is an essential, unremovable part of our lives as a community of faith and as the people of God. So today we're going to take a look at what does it mean to be involved in risk-taking missions. So come on, let's get started. Okay, so I have a question for you. Do you know what one of the most popular scripture passages that's not found in the Bible? It's a scripture passage that a lot of people will quote, but you're not going to find it in here. It is that God helps those who help themselves. You can look, you can read, but you're not going to find that. In fact, we're often going to find the opposite. In the 25th chapter of Matthew, Jesus is judging the nations, and He is separating people into those who were faithful to Him and serving Him, and those who ignored Him and didn't serve Him. Now, both of these groups have something in common. They're both surprised. The one group who was judged faithful in serving Him, they didn't know that they were serving Him. The group that was judged unfaithful, they didn't know that they had the opportunity to serve Him. Now, if you remember the story, the one is rewarded because they helped people in need. That's a short version of it. And the others didn't help people in need. But the key point there is to look at the list of folks who were in need. You have those who were hungry. You have people who were in jail. Those who are naked have no clothes. Those who have no friends. And if you look, all of these are circumstances that it is difficult or nearly impossible to get yourself out of. God helps those who help themselves. Well, really the scripture image we have here is people being blessed for helping those who are unable to help themselves. You know, when we all want to be involved in mission. And we are in many ways. But one of the easy things to do is to write a check and send it on and say, this will help. And often we do that, and it's an amount that doesn't really even faze us. Or we're going to take part of a day and we're going to go help feed a group or do something worthwhile, and I encourage you to do it. But if that is all we do, it's just throwing pennies in. I think what we are called to do, and if we look at this passage in Matthew, I think that we're called to take a risk. And that risk is to go all in and to do everything we can. To quit worrying about, are these people in their circumstances because they made poor choices? They may well be, but the reality is they're still in the circumstances they find themselves. They're still hungry. They still are in jail. They're still without clothing. They still need a place to live. They need this and they need that, regardless of how they got there. Our calling as the people of God is to step out from the norm and not worry so much about how they got there, but work to alleviate their need and to change their circumstances and to help them change it, but to do what we can to alleviate it. And we do this without concern for ourselves. That's part of where the risk comes in. We are living in a world today where we like to be recognized. If you do something good, you want to have your name in lights, you get a certificate, you get a pen, what have you. And there's a role for that. There's a place for that. But it shouldn't be what motivates us. The one group that Jesus judged faithful, they didn't know that they were serving Jesus. They just knew that there were people who were hungry and lonely and naked and needing someone to be there, and that they had the ability to make a difference. They weren't seeking glory. They weren't seeking anything for themselves other than to help alleviate someone's circumstances. The other group would have been happy to have served Jesus if they knew that that was Jesus. I think partly that is the group that does it simply for self-gratification. They were willing to help if they got something out of it. The risk that we're called to take is to put ourselves in the background and simply serve the need. We don't need to go in doing mission work and service because we get something out of it. We do it because God has blessed us with gifts and resources, and we're going to work to alleviate the pain, the suffering, and the struggle that people are going through. So here's my challenge for you. I want to encourage you to step outside of your circle. How can you work and help people around you? It might be writing a check, but maybe you write a check that's a little bit more. It might be volunteering your time, but can you do it more than once? Can you do it for a few more hours on that particular day? What have you? But step outside of what is easy. Make a sacrifice. For it to be a sacrifice, it has to be something that doesn't come easily. And then let's do these things, not seeking self-reward, not seeking recognition, but simply to make a difference in someone's life. Well, look, I want to thank you for being here this week and watching this video, and I encourage you to share it with others, your friends, your family, so that they can watch it, they can learn, and they can grow in their faith. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. When you do, if you would like, you'll see a icon of a bell. If you click on that, at any time I post a new video, you will get notified. Well, look, I hope that you will join me next week. Next week, we're going to be finishing up this series by looking at extravagant generosity. What does it mean? Not only to be generous, but to be extravagant in our generosity. Well, until we get together next week, I will continue to pray that God's blessings will be with you.